All of us will support the efforts of President Biden and Vice President Harris to do what is necessary and appropriate to bring Brittany home. And we commend him for standing publicly and saying that, as we will stand for the others that have been detained.
WNBA star Brittany Griner, who's already been detained in Russia for nearly 5 months, faces 10 years in prison after pleading guilty this week to drug charges. After she sent an impassioned letter to President Biden Monday, the president called Brittany's wife and pledged his support. But Brittany is not the only American detainee whose family is seeking U.S. intervention. In 2018, American citizen Paul Whelan was wrongfully detained by Russia and accused of espionage. He was sentenced to 16 years in prison, where he remains to this day. And Friday, President Biden spoke to his sister and reaffirmed his commitment to bring Whelan home. Joining me now, David Whelan. He's the twin brother of Paul Whelan, who is currently detained in Russia, and Kimberly St. Julian Varnin, Russian and Ukrainian history expert and PhD student at the University of Pennsylvania. David, I want to start with you. What more, first of all, sorry that your family is going through this. I can't imagine how heartbreaking that is and devastating to not know how your brother's doing every day. But what more can you tell us about your family's conversation with the president?
I think it was really just reaffirming what we've heard from other people in the administration, and it was nice to hear it from the top, from President Biden. It does reinforce for us that the administration is doing what it can and that everybody is involved, which I think we understood. But as a family of wrongful detainee, you start to wonder when things aren't happening, whether you should be doing more. And unfortunately, a presidential call or meeting has become one of the things that many families look for.
Yeah, understandable. And when was the last time you spoke with your brother? Can you give us any insight as to what he's experiencing while being held captive there in Russia? How are his spirits? How's his health?
Sure. I haven't spoken to him since October of 2018, but my parents have been able to speak to him pretty much daily by phone, and they were able to speak to him in the last few days. It's summer in Mordovia. It's extremely hot. It's not a very good climate. It's a labor colony, so they create textiles, some sort of clothing. His current job is to make buttonholes. But the sanctions have cut in, so they don't have materials anymore. They're not working as much, which means that you're mostly just sitting around in this very uncomfortable climate. He has some minor cold right now, but he has medicine that we've sent him that a guard is holding but won't give to him until he's paid a bribe. And it's this sort of grinding injustice that he's been experiencing for the last 2 years now that he's been out in Mordovia, as well as the 18 months that he spent in Moscow. It's just an ongoing corrosive grind.
Yeah, and that's agonizing. So, and forgive me, because a lot of our viewers don't know how this works. How exactly would he go about paying a bribe to a prison guard in Russia, given that he's, sentenced to hard labor and has no access to cash, I would imagine?
They do actually have prison accounts that he's allowed to buy things from the commissary for, so he might be able to use something from the commissary. And then we're allowed to send 4 packages a year, once every 90 days. And those packages are things like protein bars, dried fruit, nuts, things that supplement his diet because they're not worried about nutrition in the prison. And so then he's able to exchange some of the things that we send him. We send him cigarettes and he doesn't smoke, that sort of thing. So that he's able to get through the day. And I'm sure that the Russian system is bad. It's probably not that different from many other prison systems.
Yeah, I was just going to say, as people may watch this and clutch their pearls, I want to remind folks that our U.S. Prison system is not so pleasant either. So while we thumb our nose at a dictator across the ocean, we should look at our own penal system for sure. Kimberly, I want to bring you into this because I can't imagine what David's going through with his twin brother. That's so heartbreaking. Give us your insight based on your research and expertise in Russia. How likely is it and how soon might Paul Whelan and Brittany Griner be brought home safely?
So this is an interesting question because I think appropriately tying Brittany Griner and Paul Whelan together is the best way to get them both home. You have a situation where Russia has been telegraphing for months that they want Victor Bout, who is convicted and serving 25 years in federal prison in the United States for essentially arms trafficking. So he's a high-level Russian who has been convicted in America. And so I think if we're going to think about a prisoner exchange, we should demand that both Brittany and Paul come home, because Paul is in a maximum security prison in Russia. The conditions are not good. And the fact that his family is able to support him also kind of shows us just how bad the Russian prison system is, where he's having to be supported by his family. But also a key part of Brittany's case, as we saw earlier this week, is that she acknowledged her guilt in her case. And I think that's important in terms of not only showing the Russians that they can have a win, but it's also to kind of grease the wheels and speed up this process of getting towards a prisoner exchange. Historically, prisoner exchanges and pardons with Russia, particularly under Vladimir Putin, don't generally happen until there's a conviction or an admission of guilt. So I think that's part of the strategy that we see with Brittany Griner's case.